Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, and welcome to this little different type of podcast.
Yes, this time around we're going to be telling you all about our little predictions for the cast and story for the upcoming live-action My Hero Academia movie.
Now recently there was an announcement that Netflix would be releasing a live-action My Hero Academia movie on their service from Legendary Pictures.
Yes.
And you all know what that means.
Yes.
And while we wait on updates for the film's progress, we want to share with you what disasters probably await us for this live-action adaptation.
Yes. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and put notification buttons on future podcasts and we'll pause video.
Yes, and feel free to put your predictions below as well. We really want to hear what you think and have to say.
Right.
And full disclosure, you may not agree with some of these things. You may find them offensive. You may agree and laugh your head off. Either way, thank you for listening.
Yes.
Because we're not going to hold back on this one.
Yes. Okay, so a little while ago, we actually had an announcement on Twitter and certain sources that the My Hero Academia live action movie is going to be on Netflix. It was supposed to be in theaters, and all they had shown was that they had their director and they were writing a script. Then they said they were going to move the movie to Netflix to get more viewers to watch. And most people were not happy about this.
Because visions of, well, we haven't seen One Piece, so to be fair, we can't say that, but visions of Cowboy Bebop live action dance through our heads.
You're right. And after that,
And Bleach.
right. And you think,
And Mike Butler.
right. And you think after that
And
they wouldn't do it again, but they did. And One Piece, they seem to want to turn the tide with that, and people are actually looking forward to it, which I'm stunned because they just had the same people who did Cowboy Bebop, but this one looks good, so I don't know what to say on that.
I say we be fair and we give it a chance.
Right.
There's always hope.
Right. So
That being said, this movie, however, is different.
right. And there's been tons of jokes that they've already had a live action MHA movie with the Robert Rodriguez movie, We Can Be Heroes.
We Can.
And that's what they consider like they beat them to it, but they really didn't. And so
in my head, I have these horrible, horrible visions of it being similar to the MHA casting for the play.
Oh
now,
my
that being
God.
said, we have actually seen the play.
Yeah.
So we're not talking and just guessing what's happened. We've actually seen the play.
right.
And while the costumes were done very well, and while it was a musical,
Yes.
for us, the first thing that we know is going to happen is they're not going to cast teens in this movie.
Yes.
We don't understand why Japan or America or anyone else who does live action adaptations that has the content or the MCs are teens don't cast teenagers.
Exactly.
They cast 30 and 40-year-old people to play teens. And if they do that with this one already right there, it's just gonna be...
Yeah. And the reason why is because, there were actually a few good ideas out there people had for casting.
Unless they cast the people who are doing the voice acting.
Right. That would be the only
That would be-
exception.
yes, and that would be excusable and welcome.
Now, the ideas some people had, these aren't official, but some ideas that were thrown around was like Keanu Reeves as Aizawa or Dwayne Johnson as All Might and things like that. And they sounded great, but we know this is Netflix. They're not going to do anything that would sound right to cast these people. So, at one point we saw, as you mentioned with the play, that there were a bunch of characters missing from the first one. And people were asking, the excuse was, well, these characters that are missing didn't do anything for the story, so they only kept the ones that had a lot of dialogue and actually contributed something. So we kind of went through the roster, and we're gonna predict who they're gonna leave or who they're gonna take out of the movie. Okay, well, they know they gotta keep Deku.
Yes, Deku cannot be out or it won't be My Hero Academia.
Right.
It'll be My Academia.
Right.
And we hope they cast someone who has a similar voice to Justin Briner.
Yes.
And we hope they cast someone who actually looks youthful. Because with Midoriya, that's needed for this character.
Right.
However, we don't believe that's what's going to happen.
Right. And they
We
got
think
it.
Midoriya will be probably 6'6", Instead of looking boyish, he'll look like that
what
kid
happened?
on Spy Family. Daddy!
He's 6 years old. He can't be.
and he won't be Midoriya-ish at all. That is our fear.
Right.
And unfortunately, based on other works that are being done, distributed by Warner Brothers,
Yes.
it's always been this way. It's either cast against type or opposite of type.
Right.
So with Midoriya, that's what we really believe is going to happen. He's not going to be precious.
Right.
He's not going to be the one you want to cheer for because he is an underdog and you want to see him win. He's going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and look like him, and you're gonna have to believe he's an underdog. And it's just like, now, that being said, if they cast someone who looked like they did in the play, that would be fine because the person in the play actually pulled it off.
Yes, that's true. And they'll have to keep in Uraraka so they can have their ship-tees in there. They have to keep her in.
But we know that Uraraka is not going to look like Uraraka because for some reason, just being honest here, no one wants to cast people that physically look like the women in the anime.
Right.
The way that Horikoshi draws them.
Right.
As if there's something wrong with that. All women's bodies are beautiful, however they are born with.
Right.
However they look, they're beautiful.
Right.
So I'm not sure why casting against type is important for a play like this. I think they should just cast based on whether the person can portray the character, how good they are at having the essence of the character,
Right.
and how believable they are. And the way their body looks shouldn't matter.
Right.
But hey, that's just me.
Right.
What do I know? I'm just some girl.
Right. So
yes, they have to keep your rock.
Right. Ida, I hope they keep in because they need that extra craziness. But I don't know if they would keep there with the president thing be out of style for them because it's not a class president.
He's going to be short. He's not going to be taller than everyone else like he is now. He's going to be short, the same height or as short as the other characters, which is kind of going to be odd based on how his presence is in the anime.
Right.
Okay, you skipped over.
No, I did on purpose. Getting to the next one.
Curry, you know she won't be in there because you can't see her.
Right, like, well, what's the
tell you to
difference?
pretend she's there.
Yeah, like, what's the difference? She can be off screen for all we know.
They'll have someone voicing her off screen.
Right.
She'll be pretending she's there.
Right.
And so they'll have her simply because they don't have to pay anyone to perform, just voice.
Right.
Every now and then for different scenes.
It'll be some flowing gloves and they're done.
I don't even think they'll do that.
Oh!
It'll just be the voice.
And then the biggest ones, Bakugo, which unfortunately we know they're gonna probably drastically change him because a lot of people. Well, Bakugo's the most popular character. You think leave him alone, but here in the U.S. is a huge thing with the Stop Bullying campaign.
But you also have to remember that the person who's directing is Japanese.
Right.
And all the works he's done have had Japanese cast.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that we forgot to mention. We think there's not going to be any diversity as far as the actors. We could be wrong, but since all his other works, everyone is being Japanese.
Right.
We think in here, everyone's going to be Japanese as well.
Right.
For the purists who will tell us, well, it's Japan anyway, we do know that. But they also make a lot of them look Western and some look Japanese. So we're hoping they would keep the same percentage and do the same thing. And they also do have some characters that are from other countries within the anime.
Right.
That being said, it's not going to be long.
Yeah, and I think they would probably take out a lot of his dialogue. They would tone him down significantly because there are people who are still they are triggered still by his first lines in the very first season, very first episode when he told Midoriya what to do to himself. So I think they're gonna have to change all that. He can still say some things, but I think they're gonna have to tone down all of his anger and his dialogue so they don't upset people.
But if they do that, then that changes the whole premise, the whole point of this series.
Right.
You see what happens in the first 2 episodes. You see the relationship between them, and you're shocked to find out they grew up together. And even within that first episode, Horikoshi has Bakugo said, look, they're even separating friends so they can't help each other. Despite all the garbage that happened, in his mind, they were still friends. In Midoriya's mind, all throughout the series, they have let you know he thinks and has never believed they are not friends. He considers Kachan his friend. He always has.
Right.
Kachan, even with his messed up attitude, also considered him a friend.
Right.
He seemed to me to be egged on by the people he wanted to impress in that school. And the way Horikoshi wrote it, getting him out of that school and away from them, was the best thing it could have done for Bakugo. Because I don't think he would ever be as big as he's, as well as he's gotten, had character development, stop bullying him. Any of the things that have happened for him for character development could not have happened if he had stayed around the people egging him on to be a bully and to do that.
Right.
That being said, it shouldn't be triggering because it was 6 seasons ago and this is a movie adaptation. For anyone out there that's going to tell me I don't understand, I was bullied from kindergarten through 6th grade, so kiss my butt.
Okay.
And for me, being triggered by something that happened in season 1 and season 6 doesn't make sense with all the character development things that are going on. And I personally want to see an adaptation that takes into account what happened in the anime to some point.
Right. Exactly. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you got Todoroki, who really wasn't in there that much, but they gotta put him in. They can't just ignore it. Granted, he didn't do much until like the end of the season, because second season he got to be in the forefront. But you have to leave him in. But I think they're just probably gonna just ignore his existence until for one scene, and then one scene he'll show up all of a sudden. Like, where have you been?
And I don't think a lot of these actors that are going to be cast are going to even look like the characters. We're going to be confused because for some reason they don't want to color the hair. They don't want to look like the characters look in the anime, and you have to figure out who was whom. Case in point, Assassination Classroom live action movie.
Right.
You never would have known Nagisa was Nagisa if they hadn't told you.
Right.
Because he wasn't Nagisa.
Exactly.
And Karma wasn't Karma, and these characters weren't these characters. And you want to be able to look at them and know by how they look and their behavior that they're the characters you know. And I do know that we all know from Miyazaki telling us it is a tradition in Japan to make different versions of movies and change the story. We understand that. But we still would like to see the adaptation have some basis within the manga and anime.
Right.
The story that takes place there, rather than having a whole different concept. But that's just us.
Right.
How do you feel? Let us know in the comments below.
Right. Okay. As we continue, we know Minetta's gonna be taken it all together. They're just gonna take him out, and he's really hated by a lot of people because of his perviness, which is supposed to be funny, but they seem to really hate it. And most of the time, when they imagine the class, they swap him out for Shinso, and he's in class A. So I guarantee, if they decide this, they're either gonna take him out together or replace him with Shinso or some new character and swap it out.
And that would be unfortunate because his character within the confines of the story had a place.
Yes.
And also, he is Pikachu's friend.
Right.
You know, like they're the closest friends in there.
Yes.
And so, I personally don't have a problem seeing someone portray Mineta. Again, yes, we know how he was in the beginning, but he's had character development. And I still believe now, until this day, that at some point, Horikoshi's going to glow him up, and he's going to stop being a perv, and he's going to be the hero that Horikoshi has just got waiting in the wings to be.
Right.
It's okay if you don't agree. I don't have a problem with it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think that's possible for this character? Or do you think he's hopelessly going to be like Pepe Le Pew? And you're probably right. They're going to take him out. They're either going to switch him out or take him out. I think you're right.
Yeah. Let's see. Suyu, they'll probably keep. They just won't ever use her power that much. because she's really easy to cast because they have like a particular type. So I think they would leave her in.
And she's a favorite.
Right.
Now, we're going to get to now, because we have to, since you brought up Sue You. Momo
Yeah.
and Jiro.
Yeah,
Momo will not look like Momo.
No, they'll probably, well, in the play, they covered up her whole body in costumes so that way it wouldn't be inappropriate for kids watching the play.
And they cast someone who had no body type like Momo whatsoever.
Yeah.
And again, this is how Horikoshi drew them. There's nothing wrong with the way these women are drawn. Women in all different shapes and sizes and heights and everything else.
Right, so.
And Momo is just a type of woman that he drew.
Yeah, and people were just so
her
alarmed.
boob size and her hip size and her attractiveness don't determine the type of person she is.
Right.
And I kind of don't understand what the problem is. But I think, like the play, they're going to change physically how Momo looks.
Or cover her up.
Right. And Jiro, they're probably going to, if they have her in there,
yeah,
they're going to have her be like in the anime and in the play.
Yeah.
And again, there's nothing wrong with Jiro either.
Right.
Will they expand on their friendship? I doubt it, because it's only, we're guessing it's only going to be probably season 1 and season 2. Maybe.
Yeah, that's what we're guessing, because there's only 13 episodes, and that you can probably easily do for one film.
But we think that, I know you do, because we've talked about it, we think there's a bigger chance of Momo being in it than Jiro.
Yeah.
Jiro's going to be left out,
yeah.
and Momo will be in it.
Yeah, because in the first play, she was taken out because it said she didn't really do much, so there was no point in adding extra people, and it's like, do you want to get fired?
Now, we mentioned Pikachu, and I think he's going to be put in just for comic relief.
Yeah.
They'll keep having him have that dumb look.
That
overuse his quirk, and they'll keep doing that over and over.
Yeah,
and
I can see them running to the ground.
His only point for being in this movie.
Yeah, I can see them running that into the ground, yeah. So, yes, they would keep him in. Tokoyami, I think they would only keep him in if they didn't have to animate Dark Shadow. Because the play, he just had the bird's head on the whole time. They pretended a cloth was Dark Shadow, and then they were done. Granted, they did better in the second play, but I think they'll just, if they have him in here, they won't use Dark Shadow. Just so they can save on the effects.
Which will kind of be unfortunate. I would love to see how creatively they could get in having Dark Shadow accompanying him like in the anime. I would love to see that.
Right.
I really would.
Kirishima, that could be 50-50. It's Bakugo's friend, but if they change Bakugo, then they won't need Kirishima to be the friendly one.
But Kirishima's also a favorite. He's really likable. There's no way you can't like Kirishima.
Right.
I think because of him being a favorite, because of being Bakugo's friend, because of his own story that I don't know if they're going to bring up in this movie or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kirishima, there's a greater chance of him being in it than some of the other people like Zero and Sugar Man and so forth.
Yeah, and we both said they're probably going to cut out Zero and Sugar Man, both because, again, they didn't have a whole lot of screen time, so that would save them money. So I think they're both going to be out. Mina, they also took out in the first place. So they said, well, again, for the same purpose, if they don't do anything on screen that they think is important, they take them out. So I think Mina's going to be absent too, and you just hear in the background.
And also because of how she seems to be reflected online, because of how Horikoshi drew her, there's a lot of people that like her because of her looks.
Right.
And if they do decide to put Mina in, again, she'll be cast against how she looks, because for some reason people have a problem with how she looks.
Right.
And again, women are varied.
Right.
So they can look all different ways. I don't understand. But if she's in here, she won't look like Mina, and I don't believe for a minute she'll be pink.
Right. They're like,
they'll
no.
go ahead and put the little alien tentacles on her.
And then keep
They
it.
may give her some contacts, possibly. But as far as being pink and going all out, I don't see them putting that much into it. Think Bleach.
Yeah.
Think, again, Assassination Classroom, where you had Koro Sensei. You had the person in the costume, but the face didn't work.
Right.
You just had a plastered smile.
Yeah, and it kept moving, animating a mouth moving, and it looked creepy. Yeah.
And when you think about other works they've done, it's been the same thing. They don't put the money in to try to duplicate it, so she's not going to be pink.
Right.
And she won't look like Mina.
Right. And for the last few, Aoyama, which I think they have to leave him in. He cannot stop twinkling. So they gotta keep him in. So I think that one's gonna go without saying. They gotta keep him in. So that's it. We know he'll be in. Plus he's hilarious. Plus he's a good character. So yes, they would have to leave him in, even if he didn't do a whole lot. I think he'd be the exception of characters didn't do much, but they'll keep. And let's see who we have. Oh, you have Shoji and Koda left. Koda didn't speak, so they can take him out. Shoji would be too much to animate all his arms and things, so I think they would take him out.
Or they could just put a prosthetic body top on him with all the arms there.
Yeah.
And they don't move.
Yeah, that works
too.
too.
They're just there visually. But I don't think they're going to spend the money to do that. I could be wrong. I mean, with Full Metal Alchemist, forgive me, at least they put the money into Al and his armor.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be personally a little lenient and think maybe for some of the characters they will go ahead and put the money in for some of them, but not all of them.
Right. It's like it's 20 people. We can't put all these people in here.
So we're guessing they're gonna be maybe 10, like the play.
Yeah.
And out of the 10, the ones who have appendages or distinct looks, half of them aren't going to have them.
Right.
They'll probably try to stick with the ones whose quirks come out in action, but you don't see their quirk.
Right.
That's the game.
And the principal, I think they'll just make all CGIs and have a voice actor and keep it simple. I'll probably be the one that probably has the most animation. If it's not the five, to be the principal.
Now, All Might is going to be the most important. All Might and All Might Light.
Right.
That's going to be the most important in figuring out how they're going to do the casting.
Right.
Are they going to have someone like they did in the play, who they have one person with a suit and another who isn't? I think they should cast someone who could pass for All Might.
Right.
In terms of bodybuilding things, and definitely height. Please don't have this person be 5'5" until it's
right.
All Might, because we've read the manga, we've seen the anime, and that's just not going to work. What you did to Renji is not going to work for All Might. It's just not going to work.
Exactly.
And then for All Might Light.
Right. Some people suggested if they get Western actors, they could have Kevin Bacon.
I thought that was perfect. Kevin Bacon would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And they were saying Dwayne Johnson, which would have worked before he decided he wanted to be a bad guy. And
who's not really a bad guy. It's like
Adam.
Right.
For some, it may be difficult to see him as the symbol of peace when he's being Black Adam. For some, it may not be. So if that's not a problem, he would be a good cast.
Right.
For All Might.
Right. And another suggestion has been Keanu Reeves as Aizawa.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah, I hope they at least consider that, not just brush over it. But
that's
the others,
if they cast any Westerners or Europeans in the roles, again based on his past history and the movies he's done, it's always been 100% Japanese. No matter what the character looks like, they've been cast in Japanese.
Right.
So we'll have to see what they decide to do.
right. As for the rest, now for the part of the story, we think they're only just going to do season 1 because it's pretty self-contained. It's only 13 episodes. We think they can do a 2-hour or 2.5-hour movie out of that. We don't know about all the villains. They will only have Shigaraki.
Well, they have to have that blonde monster.
Yeah, and Kurogiri, the Nomu, the little extra villains they had that weren't important. Yeah, staying for season 2 if they do a second film. We don't know who will be the villains. It's kind of hard to pick those out more.
I think maybe we can guess, again, based on, forgive me guys, past works. They're probably going to have the harder hitting or the more popular villains in here. So Stain is going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
If he isn't,
I think they start combining villains from other seasons and bring them in the first one, they'll be way ahead.
And the Blob will be in here if they're going to tell the story how we learn that Midoriya has the capacity to be a hero because he's selfless. If you don't have that, then you're missing a whole big part of his story and what helps you see that he's selfless and he will do anything to save the people he cares about,
right,
as well as just, people in general.
Right.
So I think that one and Shigaraki.
Right.
I think they're both gonna, not Shigaraki, I'm sorry, Stain are gonna both be in here.
Yeah.
And yeah, we know Stain's from season 2, but I think they're just gonna
them in.
Yeah, that's what.
And I don't know how they explain if they do a sequel movie, but hey, I guess whatever gets them to watch the film.
Again, we can go by past works. You can think about Assassination Classroom, how they did that, where some of the baddies weren't even in it,
Right.
and they jumped to one of the latter baddies.
Yeah.
And then they jumped to the end of the movie, and the majority of what was in the series was just
Already
chopped
done.
out and wasn't even covered.
Right.
So a lot of the people that were baddies and villains in it, we never saw.
Right.
Same thing in Black Butler.
Yep.
Same thing in Bleach. So again, I'm basing it on his past works, and I'm not attempting to be critical. I'm just attempting to try to guess what's going to happen based on his past works. If this isn't a game changer and they do something different, it'll be like his other works.
Yes.
Now, that being said, they did something a little different if we give credit for Cowboy Bebop. It wasn't an all Japanese cast.
That's true.
And they did do something different, having a mixture of different peoples, which was great.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that's what they do. And the same for One Piece. In all fairness,
Yes.
they've got different people. So I'm hoping that's what's going to happen for MHA.
Right. That's true. So those are all the predictions we have for what we think will be covering season 1 of the series and the storyline we think they'll go with for it.
Now we're going to ask you a couple questions. Please answer and let us know what you think in the comments below. I really want to hear what you think. Do you think it's going to stay in Japan? Or do you think they may do like AOT and it took place any place but Japan, but they put it in Japan?
Right.
Do you think it'll stay in Japan and it'll take place mostly in UA? Or is it going to take place outside of the school mostly?
Right.
Do you think they're going to cover a lot of the arcs that people want to see?
Right.
Or do you think they're going to just eliminate a lot of arcs and create a new story?
Right.
What do you think?
There's a lot of possibilities for this to go.
And not finally, but additionally, whom do you think they're going to what characters they're going to have in this movie? Do you think they're going to have all 20? Or do you think they're going to cut it down to half like we do?
Right.
Let us know what you think in the comments. We can't wait to hear what you think. Lastly, who would you cast if it's not an all Japanese cast?
Right.
In some of the roles. And we mean the UA students, because we've given you what the internet has thought of for, as you said, the adult characters.
Right.
But who would you cast in some of the UA student characters? Let
Right.
us know what you think. And last but not least, do you think they're going to have Class B make an appearance in here at all?
Right.
What do you think?
If they do, they'll be really short. It'll be like a quick appearance, like a little tease for another film, and then that's it. If they even bother, because they gotta bring up Crazy Monoma, because he's gotten the trend of just being the crazy one.
But they weren't in the play.
Right.
They did a whole play without Class B.
Right, and they just pretended they did everything Class B did, and it's like, how'd you pull that off?
So it'll be interesting to really see what they do. Yes, we're going to watch it regardless of how it ends up being cast in the storyline or whatever. We are hardcore MHA fans. We are with My Hero Academia and Horikoshi to the end. So regardless of how this goes, we're going to be watching. What about you? Let us know in the comments.
If you haven't already, subscribe for updates and we can videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. We hope you've enjoyed this as much as we have. And again, let us know your comments and thoughts. We can't wait to hear. And also, if you want us to check out your channel, leave us the name in the comments below. Better yet, a link. We'll check you out and support you as well. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate you.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching Rask Entertainment.
And at Mom Entertainment.
Have a tune-tastic day.
Peace. Pulse Ultra.